Yo, step into the shadows, let me tell you a tale about a web of deception where the truth starts to pale. In the heart of the night, where the whispers take flight, they'll sell you a dream, but it's all out of sight. Got a leader with charm, yeah, they're stuck with the words, spinning tales so grand, like they're flying with birds. Promises of power, they'll make you believe, but behind all that glitter, it's a trick up their sleeve. Lies, lies, they're feeding you dreams, wrapped in a bow, but it's bursting at the seams. Watch your back, don't get caught in the spin, cause the cult's a trap, and the danger's within.
The Unraveling, a descent into the anointing, Annie's story. Welcome to a poignant journey that delves into the complexities of love, worry, and the shadows that can infiltrate even the most sacred spaces. This narrative is part of a series of blogs brought to life in audiovisual form, crafted by the talented Mr. Dior 7. To explore more of his insightful perspectives, follow him on X at Mr. Dior 7 News. All music is composed and copyrighted by Mr. Dior 7. Reproduction of any of Mr. Dior 7's works requires prior permission. For business inquiries or to share your stories, feel free to reach out at tellmoredior@yahoo.com. Join us as we unravel the layers of Annie's experience. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more captivating content. I find myself at a loss for how to articulate the inexplicable events that ensnared my wife after she became involved in what I can only describe as the Anointing the Land project. What follows is my earnest attempt to recount the bizarre and haunting experiences that unfolded as faithfully as my shaken mind can manage. As I sift through my memories, I recall that particular morning. The air was crisp, filled with the promise of fall, invigorating and sharp, signaling the inevitable change of the season. Normally, I would wake to the joyful chaos of my wife orchestrating our cherished Sunday routine. The familiar sounds of our children's laughter would mingle with the clattering of pots and pans as she prepared our beloved after-church feast. Sundays were sacred in our household, woven together with rich traditions. My wife had a special gift for transforming our dining room into a haven of warmth and comfort. She would unfurl the delicate lace tablecloth and arrange the rustic dinnerware we had lovingly brought back from our honeymoon in the Italian countryside. Each dish was a tangible reminder of our shared dreams, symbols of the love that had flourished during those sun-drenched days. Yet beneath the surface of that idyllic routine, shadows began to gather, and I had no inkling of the storm that was about to descend upon us. Her signature dish was a succulent herbed chicken paired with the children's adored brown sugar yams, crowned with tiny, fluffy marshmallows that melted into sweet perfection. Family and friends would gather around our table, and in those moments she radiated warmth, stepping into a role that was both nurturing and regal, contrasting her typically modest demeanor. She reveled in caring for others, ensuring that everyone, children and elders alike, felt cherished and satisfied. But this Sunday was different. As I stirred from sleep, a heavy silence enveloped the house, thick and unnerving. There were no cheerful shouts of children, no comforting sounds of pots and pans clanging in the kitchen. The absence of our cherished ritual loomed over me like a dark cloud, a foreboding reminder that something had shifted in the heart of our home. Moving to adjust the thermostat in hopes of summoning warmth into the chilling morning air, my gaze fell upon my wife huddled on the couch. She was still clad in her cat-patterned pajamas, legs crossed beneath her, a disheveled figure amid the clutter. Her vibrant auburn hair framed her face in a tangled mess, and a faint mustiness lingered in the air, a silent testament to days without proper care. Surrounding her was a chaotic assortment of popsicle sticks, permanent markers, and local maps, scattered like remnants of a fevered dream. "Honey, what are you doing? It's almost time to leave," I called, my voice breaking the heavy silence. but she remained oblivious, lost in her frantic scribbles, her focus unwavering. I tried again, softening my tone. "Babe." At last she looked up, and the sight of her hollowed, tired eyes sent a pang of worry through me. Had she even slept? I considered my own heavy slumber, often the first to succumb to the night, and I couldn't recall her gently easing into bed, her cold feet finding their way atop my legs. "Annie," I murmured, the affectionate nickname I had given her, reminiscent of the spirited little orphan Annie. "Did you get any sleep last night?" She yawned, her voice laced with a nonchalance that felt out of place. "Not much. I have a lot to do." The urgency in her tone was palpable as she quickly shifted the focus. "Will you make me some of your special coffee?" My wife was a pumpkin spice enthusiast, and I relished the chance to create that perfect blend just for her, a small gesture that conveyed the depth of my love. It was in these little acts, the everyday kindnesses we shared, that we found warmth even amid life's routine. As I moved toward the kitchen, I glanced over her shoulder at the notebook sprawled across her lap. The pages were filled with what appeared to be Bible verses, interspersed with locations and a flurry of illegible scribbles that danced across the paper like chaotic thoughts in her mind. A sense of urgency tugged at me as I checked the time, subtly nudging her to take a shower and refresh herself. "You might want to wash up," I suggested gently, hoping to coax her into a moment of self-care. Her response came with a spark of her old spirit shining through. "Okay, Chief," she chirped, a faint smile flickering across her tired face. Yet beneath that smile lay a weariness that seemed to deepen each day, as if the weight of unspoken burdens pressed heavily upon her shoulders. I watched her for a moment, captivated by the contrast between her light-heartedness and the shadows in her eyes. It felt as though she were fighting a silent battle I could not fully grasp. I wanted to reach out, to pull her back from whatever dark abyss she had wandered into, but I felt powerless, caught between the desire to protect her and the fear that something far more sinister was at play. "Don't forget to take a moment for yourself," I added gently, hoping to bring her back to the warmth of our routine, to the sanctuary we had built together. But as she returned her attention to the scattered notes, I couldn't shake the feeling that the woman I loved was slipping further away, drawn into a world I could neither see nor understand. As I rounded the corner, a wave of familiarity washed over me, only to be interrupted by the sight of my 3-year-old daughter perched precariously on a stool at the bar. A cereal bowl overflowing with vibrant fruity O's sat before her, the bright colours contrasting sharply with the seriousness that hung in the air. Her bright smile lit up the room, even as milk dribbled down her chin and onto the princess-themed nightgown she wore. "Hello, Daddy," she announced, her innocent lisp adding a playful "T" at the end. "Good morning, my little marigold," I replied, the term of endearment rolling off my tongue with warmth. "I was hungry," she declared, punctuating her words with that charming "T" once more. "I see that," I chuckled, about to ask how she managed to climb up to the bar and handle the cereal box at her tiny height, when my phone rang, slicing through the morning stillness. It was the church secretary, an elderly woman who had once been an ER nurse. Now she immersed herself in the role of secretary to fill the void left by her husband's passing years ago. The tremor in her voice was unmistakable. "This is unprecedented," she said, disbelief thick in her words. "The sickness has us worried about our members. We want everyone to be safe and aren't holding services today. The whole country is shutting down." Living in a state with slightly more lenient mandates, our church services had mostly revolved around social distancing. Yet a surge of relief washed over me. I realized we wouldn't have made it to church on time anyway, not with my wife and children needing those extra moments to prepare. I could already envision the excuses I'd have to conjure. My alarm didn't go off. Traffic was a nightmare. None of them would have sufficed. Instead, I felt the guilt of fabricating a lie slip away. "Thank you for calling," I said, my gratitude genuine. Perhaps next Sunday would bring a return to normalcy. I clung to the hope that a miracle might happen, that this surreal nightmare could soon be over. How long could this madness possibly last? The world felt as if it were spiraling into chaos. "Service is cancelled," I called out to my wife, but only the soft sound of the shower greeted me. At least she was taking a shower. Maybe I could coax her into having breakfast and then steal a moment for a nap. "Babe, no church today. Take your time," I shouted toward the bathroom door, a muffled response drifting back. Good, I didn't want to go anyway. Her tone resembled that of a bitter teenager, sulking after being denied a school event, and it took me aback. I initially dismissed it as a joke, a light-hearted quip amid this bizarre reality. Perhaps the stress was manifesting in odd ways, and I reassured myself that we all handle pressure differently. As I turned, I found my teenage daughter standing defiantly before me, arms crossed tightly over a vintage rock t-shirt my sister had gifted her. Her expression was sobering, and her voice dripped with the typical teenage snark. "Aren't you at least a little bit worried?" Here we go, I thought, bracing myself for the storm. "About what?" I asked, feigning calm even as a knot of anxiety twisted in my gut. "Mum, she's acting bizarro," Solace muttered, her tone laced with a mix of teenage disdain and genuine concern. The term bizarro hung between us, a stark reminder of the classic Superman cartoons she adored as a child, now eerily applicable to our reality. Leaning in conspiratorially, as if sharing a scandalous secret, she lowered her voice. "Have you checked the pantry? You know the Mickey D's across from the parlour?" The parlour, Jenkins Creamery, was a local hangout, a nostalgic refuge where kids flocked after school, their laughter echoing long after their parents had picked them up. "She was spotted by my friends pouring something onto the grass, driving wooden sticks into the ground, her hands outstretched as she spoke to the sky," she continued, her voice tinged with unease. "It's embarrassing, Dad." As she pushed aside her dyed black hair, a bold statement courtesy of a girl down the street, a testament to rebellion and self-expression, I felt a jolt of concern. I caught the worry in her eyes, yet I chose to sidestep the gravity of her words, hoping to smooth over the unease with a lighter touch. "We're all going through some things and we're doing the best we can, Solace," I replied, using the name she had adopted, a persona she wore like armor against the world. Solace was a genre, a term for those who lived as if they belonged to another era. Influencers showcased their chosen time periods online, but my daughter had set her sights on the 1980s. Her bedroom was a shrine to that decade, adorned with memorabilia that breathed life into the past. A vintage stereo from her aunt's youth sat proudly among an extensive collection of vinyl and tapes. That Sony Walkman from 1985, an extravagant prize from a fierce eBay auction battle, never left her side. "You might want to talk to her about it," she said, rolling her eyes in that dismissive way that signaled her exasperation. With that, she turned on her heel and stalked back to her bedroom, leaving me standing there, the weight of her words hanging heavily in the air, a dark omen of the chaos that lay ahead.